go to the cutting room in a pretty disciplined form. Although, and I've talked about this extensively this afternoon, it comes out of improvisation, it finally is very precise, and what we shoot is very precise. And so what we take to the cutting room is pretty precise material. So it's not like a documentary situation or different kinds of feature films where we take to the cutting room an infinite variety of possibilities. Having said that, as I've already said, a film can only be made in the cutting room, and if anything, we do, when I shoot, we do very often cover scenes from lots of angles, sometimes not, depending on the dynamics and the requirements of the scene. But I will tend to, when shooting, to go for, sometimes, like the editor or the producer will say, why were there so many takes? It was very good in the first take, why didn't you do 6 takes? I don't always, but sometimes. And I will say, well, one is seeing what subtle nuances come out in what the actor may do. And there are slight shifts of behaviour, because as much as anything else, I'm concerned to put on the screen very, very detailed behavioural studies. You can get different things from different takes. Sometimes it's not at all appropriate, and it's all going on in a take, and that's it, basically. Apart from all of that, which is one thing, you're asking also about to what degree the film changes in the course of editing. Well, of course, as I say, films do. You do discover what the film is. Certainly, so far as, for example, how my films end is concerned, certainly in the shooting, I very often don't know how it's going to end before I get there. And we actually have shot 9/10, like if you look at the end of Naked, for example, where finally he takes the money and hobbles down the street. We really had a debate on the go as to exactly what he should do, whether he should go or go with her, or stay, or whatever. And I couldn't decide what should happen. And every day I would drive to the location in my car, and I would drive down the street, and I could see the house where we were filming, and I'd turn off and have breakfast with all the guys, and with the radio on. And every day I looked at this house and down this street, and this went on for 10 days or something. And then one day I was looking at it, and I thought, bing, I know what this is. He walks out and he comes down the street, and with the house still behind him all the way. And that was very late in the day. We were really at the end of shooting the film. So that gave me, and that's an interesting, I think for me it's an interesting thing, because it was a combination of a physical location clue as to what should happen, and so which translates itself into a cinematic clue, which is a dramatic solution. But that was in the shooting. In the editing, sometimes one does make radical decisions, and of course we know, and we all experience it, sometimes you have to be tough and say, okay, that scene has to go. This scene, it doesn't work. This scene is repetitious. This scene has already been said. We're suddenly saying something in the scene that's been said elsewhere. It has to go. And that may affect the whole structure of the film. You've got to rethink it. But on the whole, what comes out of my stuff when it goes to the cutting room is disciplined enough to deal with in an unchaotic. It's not so much a question of sorting out chaos, really.
Alexis, one last question. This is the last question Mike will take.
Maestro, buenas tardes. Acá. Buenas tardes, acá.
Where is here?
Aquí.
It could be anywhere in the room.
Yes. Okay. Yo quisiera preguntarle acerca de las definiciones. A lo largo de esta exposición, usted ha comentado no estar de acuerdo en algunas definiciones que se han hecho de su trabajo. De hecho, esta misma conversación tiene por título Melodrama exquisito. ¿Está usted de acuerdo con la ubicación en este género? ¿Cómo lo describe desde su perspectiva muy particular de trabajo al melodrama?
What she's asking is if you would agree that your work could be classified within the boundaries of melodrama.
No, I don't think my work has anything to do with melodrama at all. No, I mean, melodrama is an entirely different thing. Melodrama, well, is about simplistic, heightened, raw, emotional things. I can't see how the use of the word drama, it's drama, but it's not melodrama. I think, personally. That's a very boring question to go out on. Maybe somebody should ask another question.
Alexis,
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was a boring question, I think it was a boring answer, sorry.
So this is the very last question. Alexis Rivas.
Esta es una pregunta muy rápida porque quien preguntó sobre la manera que trabaja en la edición me cubrió mucho. La misma pregunta, nada más un detalle que yo agregaría. De la manera que nos ha explicado cómo trabaja con los actores, es claro que cuando llega en la edición la cosa es muy, muy clara, no quizás como Buñuel que cortaba y pegaba, pero quería preguntarle si en situaciones interiores se cubre con más tomas o con más cámaras.
Well, I've already talked about doing takes. On the whole, we shoot my films with one camera. For me, and I know a lot of filmmakers would feel this, that when you have a single camera, the whole world is geared up to the truth of that moment. And if you want to explore that moment from another angle, then the job is to put the camera there again and explore the whole world geared up to that moment. And if you do it properly, those two moments can be cut together and they will give you yet another truth, which is the compound moment of those two positions, those two shots. Sometimes it is good sense to bring in a second, and on very rare occasions, even a third camera. When you have a situation where there's a lot of people and or stuff's going to happen that's difficult to repeat because it involves technical things or something, so on and so forth, then it's useful to cover it or to have a number of cameras on it. If you look at my film Happy Go Lucky, for example, there are a whole lot of scenes, driving lesson scenes, and it was very important, I felt, for those scenes that the actors were actually driving the car, or whichever one was at the wheel, was actually driving the car, not on a trailer or a low loader or being towed, because of the nature of the integration of the driving and the performances. And so therefore the car was rigged with very tiny high definition cameras and with a 35mm camera behind, so that we could get, because traffic and other elements would be involved that you couldn't possibly repeat, we actually did that and it worked. But generally speaking, the discipline of the single camera is my preference.